Welcome to a full review of the BMW X6 S40i, this base petrol engine for this vehicle, which will be the most significant worldwide. And here on Autogefühl, with Thomas, we'll fill you in on the exterior, interior and the driving experience, also talking about the differences X6 to the X5, and we also have a beautiful landscape here for you today just from the LA area. Please join us now in Full HD, full screen and full length. Let's go! Here in the front, we can see the BMW X6 has a different double kidney than the X5. It's a little bit, let's say, more sculpture here in this area. Vertical fins, pretty impressive, really big if you compare it also to the previous generation of the X6. Headlamps come standard with LED, then it looks like this, also with the daytime running light. Optional, there are these adaptive LED. Then the daytime running light is also a little bit different, so it goes a little bit wider, on each side. You can also check it out in our other reviews, but I think it's good that we today have a car that does not have all the options. Also in the lower part, this graphic here is standard. So if you go for the M Sport model, it would be different, a little more black, high gloss black and so on, also in the middle part, but this is actually as the car comes standard. By the way, the highest option for the headlamps would also be a laser light. We also have that in other X6 reviews. But again, today, also with the engine, want to show you a car, and it was possible this time, which you would realistically buy as a normal customer. 4.93 meters, 16 foot 1 or 194 inches is the length of the BMW X6 in this generation, and the wheel size actually goes optional to 22 inch. This is something in between. It's 20 inch, I think, a good compromise between the visual part and the comfort. Other than that, there are not so many options on this vehicle. On the exterior, this is standard that we have the crossover wheel arches here. Option, you can go for an M Sport package, which then changes it to vehicle color wheel arches, depending on how you like it actually better. The main design scheme is, of course, here, the design line right there, over the door handles, and then the falling roof line. This is special to the X6, but here in this new generation, to me, a little bit more elegant. I, by the way, always preferred when the frames around the windows are in here in this chrome style. You can also go for these shadow line packages, which then make it black with the most BMWs, and that makes a more aggressive styling. It's just what you actually prefer. Technology-wise, interesting that standard is an adaptive suspension. Optional, you can get a dynamic driving package that includes an anti-roll system, together with the integral active steering that then actually steers the rear axle in the opposite direction than the front wheels at slow speeds for more slow speed agility and also narrower turning circle, and at higher speeds for more stability in the same directions as the front wheels. And this one also comes in a one whole package together, for example, also with bigger brake calipers and so on. It's quite expensive. Is it necessary? Well, when you have some narrow situations, the integral active steering is actually quite cool, and also in basement garage and so on. We do not have that one mounted here today. Well, what do you think about this SUV coupe styling? It's always very special. Is it to your liking, or would you rather prefer the classic SUV form as we know from the X5? Tell me. In the rear we find here an integrated spoiler and vehicle color. I think that's subtle enough. This new generation of the X6 features these horizontal tail lamps, which look more modern and sporty, X6 badge here, and the standard styling here had some grey contrast. And the rear exhaust on the inside, the outer tip is just for the visual beauty part. Not sure if that's necessary, but it also has, like, let's say technology reasons. So when they do it like this, it's easier because the exhaust itself is, protected, against heat. It doesn't come and connect somewhere directly, so you can have this styling on the exterior and the rear exhaust on the inside. It also extends, for example, also with heat. So there are also technology reasons behind it. So what do you think about the overall styling right here? As for engines, in Europe we get the 3-liter 6-cylinder diesel. Then we also get, this one is the main engine for the US, the 3-liter 6-cylinder petrol engine, turbocharged and with 340 horsepower. 5.5 seconds is the acceleration figure, 0 to 60 miles or 0 to 100 kilometers an hour. In the US you can also get it with rear-wheel drive only. Other than that, optional here in the US, or then always the same in Europe with the xDrive, so with the all-wheel drive. But even then it is rear-wheel biased. And about the MPG figure or fuel economy, you can, when you like cruise control motorways, score some 9 liters more kilometers or 26 mpg, 31 mpg UK. So even a little bit better when you only cruise control motorway, and of course a little bit worse when you have different driving situations. But overall it's a quite efficient engine for that size, for the power output, and also for this kind of, kind style of the vehicle. Then you can also go with the M50i, for example, or also with the X6M, with the true M model, for the 4.4 liter V8, but that one is also really way worse in the fuel economy. This is the car key, slim and light, and look how the silver elements here glance in the evening sunlight. Beautiful. Then door closing sound. Yeah, it's actually quite solid. And inside of the doors here, very well processed here, Hofmeister King design elements. Also how the buttons resonate with the quality of the interior. Really a very big step forward to the previous generation. You can open the trunk from here. Remote opening from inside the door, that's actually cool. Reasonable door pockets for some stuff. You also have BMW entry badges at the lower part right there, they're also illuminated. And then sadly the X6 only comes with animal skin material. The X5 also available with animal friendly sensor tech, so they have to adapt their model lineup as for that still. I think it's not a wise decision, so that means this is also the standard sport seat, that only with animal skin. But if you go for that one, you can also pick the standard seat. There's another one also available that also includes an additional animal skin setup as well. Then the steering wheel, here is the M steering wheel, so a little bit sportier, and you have controls for cruise control on the left side, and on the right side, for example, for the volume and for the voice input system or something. And there are also nice shifting pedals at the steering wheel. And now let's get inside. Let's get inside. It's of course easily done. And you might ask yourself, X5 versus X6, what's the technological difference? And there are actually, let's say, 3 things. First of all, the A-pillar is flatter. That makes the interior feeling here sportier, but also a little bit more cramped. The X5 more has a traveling feeling with the more upright A-pillar. Headroom-wise, still totally fine with one with 86 or 6 with 1, and this one even includes the panoramic roof. Well, and then the second change is the torsional stiffness here is a little bit higher with the X6 because of the building form of the coupe. It's a little bit better as for the stiffness. And you can also feel it in driving it when you are an experienced car driver and have a lot of comparison. But it's just, a subtle change. And then here the seat form itself, of course, the different seats available, but basically it's all the same from the form and also materials and so on. But it is 10 millimeters lower inside the vehicle. Again, that's a minor change, but with all these minor changes, I have already experienced that you do feel some difference also in driving with the X6 because it's a little bit sporty, and also the suspension setup is a little bit sportier if you compare the direct versions. Well, and then as for seating position, again, that's somewhat the same as in the X5. It's upright, it's very comfortable, and nothing to complain about that. And steering wheel here up and down, and also comes towards you and in. So it's in this case the electronic control. So it's very good. Still have a nice overview. Of course, a little bit limited here in the X6, but still, when you look through this back mirror, also frameless, by the way, is another quality material or quality feature. Actually, you just feel cozy and comfortable here. Again, a little bit sportier than the X5. Interior overview. In this new generation, they've really done a lot, especially quality material wise. Here the separate climate unit, for example, has a very good quality impression, and it's still good that you can control this, and also the seat heating still manual. The screen setup is 2 times 12.3 inch, left and right. Also comes standard, not like this or like that, always this way. That's cool. Soon more deals to each of these. Then soft materials here on top of the dashboard. Then there's this inlet here. You can get different decor elements for that. Also still a volume knob with a metal knurling is also very nice. I like to have that. Plädoyer definitely to have still a volume knob. Then in the lower part you either have everything shut off and very clean and simple, or you open it and then you have the inductive charging platform for your smartphone, USB-A charger, and 2 adaptive cup holders. Then you have this shifting lever that you just pull backwards or forwards. Start stop button. Then you can see this adaptive suspension right here in this car. You can pick different driving modes, and this classic control knob also with metal knurling. You can press and turn as an alternative to use the touchscreen. Everything else you can also do via touch. And the steering wheel, again, from this perspective, I think is very compact, has a good grip. Maybe just some sporty Alcantara would also be pretty nice here to me. And the middle armrests is really also soft plush. And then this opening mechanism is pretty cool. A lot of space on the inside, and also USB-C charger. As for the instruments, you can see that right side RPM, left side speed. Therefore, in the middle, there's space for the GPS. And I have a route mounted at the moment, or set, a destination set. And therefore, you can also see now more of the GPS. And the head-up display is a very good option, definitely. There you have everything in your line of sight. For example, also again a GPS view if you have a destination set. Now details to the infotainment system. This is the main menu. Just click in once, or the hotkey in the lower part to go to the map. Where we're here at the Pacific Coast Highway and the beach of Huntington Beach. This is really, really beautiful spot. Just awesome to be here. And best greetings for all our fans from LA. We have big fan base, especially here in the Los Angeles area. So best greetings to you. And of course to everyone else. So car settings is really interesting here. The driving information, for example, with the trip data. With a quite good MPG figure right there. So that's really, really decent for this size of vehicle. And also confirms that the 6-cylinder petrol engine is actually the engine to go for altogether now with the new plug-in hybrid, which is also this combination. With the smartphone connectivity, you can add the mobile devices right here and add here the new device, and then you can add the wireless Apple CarPlay. And sometimes it works pretty easily and directly, and sometimes it really takes ages that it works. Let's see, we do a live test right here with the wireless Apple CarPlay. Now it comes up on my phone screen. Now I have to accept. If it doesn't work, there are 2 menu items you have to check actually that it allows it. So at 2 different kinds in the menu you have to activate it, and then it should work. It is already activated here. Then you can see it takes some time. Then it's available right here when you press the turning and pressing knob up, and then it uses all of the screen. That's probably, by the way, one thing here. Connection mode, Apple CarPlay. That's the one thing you have to do. Not sure where it went there. So, and here we go. Use all the screen. Music-wise, it's really pretty cool. We can listen to some Above and Beyond right here. And the sound system, all are actually quite good, and they're different upgrades you can actually get. This one here is the Harman Kardon sound system, and it's really worth it because the sound is very crisp and clear. Really love that. So we have the classic volume knob, so I can also deactivate it in the lower part. You can go back to the BMW menu right here, and then you're back at this home screen. So overall, everything is quite self-explanatory. Last but not least, you can press a button at the steering wheel, or you can say, "Hello BMW, please drive me to Newport." And
Our next destination is Newport Beach, California.
There we go. That's not too far from here, and I really recommend you to go there. It's a very beautiful place. They have beautiful tiny houses and different stylings there. So if you come here in a tourist base or something, then you should definitely visit Newport Beach. Such a beautiful place. So here we go, and you can also zoom in and out, for example, with this turning and pressing knob. You can also use the voice command to change the temperature, for example, or let's say like find me a vegan restaurant or something. That's what I also do quite often. So that works very well. The natural voice input in the BMW operating system 7.0 is really good to have. This, by the way, here the gesture control when I would have the music active. So overall, a great infotainment system. I think that's how it's done at the moment, I think. And the rear camera, where we now can see the sunset or this truck here next to us. So it's also very good quality, good resolution. On the right side, you can also see this fake drone view from above if you have that extended option. Or the backup assistant you can also use if you want to turn backwards somewhere and then let the car do the steering. Also interesting thing we've tested in the 7 Series and also in the 8 Series. You should also check out these reviews. Well, the panoramic roof, if you have one, it opens very wide, has this shade here as well. And here it's especially cool because then you get the views on the palm trees. And you can also open that if you want some fresh air. And sometimes people ask me, yes, it is always somehow a weak point for a vehicle to have a moving part in the top. And it will, of course, always be, better against water and stuff and cannot create any squeaking sounds when it's all closed and there is no panoramic roof. Yes, definitely. If you're afraid of that, then don't go for it. It also depends from car to car. But then again, it leaves so much light inside and air if you drive with, open top in summertime and palm trees, Now let's get in the rear. Also easily done. The X6 has, especially on the exterior, less headroom. What do I mean by that? Because on the interior they did some stuff to even that effect out. So the head lining is a little bit slimmer, so they gain some headroom again. With one with a 6 or 6 with 1, they're still totally fine. Then they put the seat bench a little bit lower and also the angle a little backwards. That's less comfortable to sit on, I think at least. But it, again, gives you more headroom overall. So that's okay. Legroom is also fine still when I'm driving in the front, but still the package, is a long car, but you have not so much legroom in the interior considering the length. Will be fine for 4 adults, no problem. There's also a 5th seat right here. But again, the package is quite bad in this vehicle overall. There's a USB-C charger here. You can also mount, like a special tablet or something. Or there's this hanger, for jackets available, for example. And what's also cool is that you have some soft materials at the inside of the door, even in the rear. You have ISOFIX on the outside. You do flip the seats already from here, if you like. Then you have this middle arm rest with some space and some adaptive cup holders. And sitting here in this middle part is, of course, a little bit stiffer. But it still works. Also, headroom-wise, barely, but works. So, not that comfortable then in the middle seat, but still works. And then, if you like, you can also get a rear climate unit. Even with seat heating would be possible, but that's an option again. So, you have a little bit more luxury features also in the rear. 580 to 1,525 liters is the boot capacity. And this cover here, you can flip it up like this, and the capacity is just 60 liters less than in the X5. The reason is it is measured below this one here, and above you have the loss in height. That's the thing. Then this floor, you can flip it up like this. Hydraulic strut, hold it open. Pretty cool, a lot of space below. Or replacement tire you could also fit in there. That would be possible. And then like this, we can go also with some luggage inside. Here it is, and also works in a vertical way. So there's actually still enough space in this trunk. You can get along very well. And now let's put the thing out again so we can flip the seats, and we can do that actually from here. There's a 12-volt power supply, and behind it is there, and also the other side. And here we go, and that flips directly from here. That's pretty cool. And then you can load all things through. So still pretty versatile if you can live with the reduced height in comparison to the X5. Welcome to Thomas's Driving Lounge with the BMW X6 40i. We'll start sporty, put in the sports mode, then we turn the gears a little bit more up, and let's go. Well, and that's 60 miles, and that was not even flooring it out, so I was keeping it, you know, in the balance of sportiness and calmness. It was just good because the speed limit here was just exactly 60 miles an hour, so it was a good test. Now it's 55. And again, as I said, I did not even floor it out all the way. So there could have been even a better acceleration, but already pretty decent. Well, and especially in sports mode, you always have a nice punch and also, let's say, enhanced sound then in this sport mode. And we just are in this base 6-cylinder, so to say. So performance-wise, you're not lacking anything. And the thing is really that when you drive it as the 8-cylinder, of course there's more, sonorous sound, even especially also from the exterior, and you have more punch. But then again, the 8-cylinder is also heavier, so it can feel a little bit lighter here on the front axle, and it's with quite a lot of vehicles that are available with the 6-cylinder or 8-cylinder. It can sometimes feel sportier in the 6-cylinder overall from the handling because the weight balance is better and weight in general is lower. So pretty interesting aspect. And we are, for you here, also on a very scenic route. It's the highway number 1, one of the most scenic routes in the world overall. And this here today is the part, because last time with the X5 we've been here, we went up north. So, along the Big Sur part, you can also check out that review. That's actually, to me, one of the most beautiful parts. This time going south towards San Diego. And you can see beautiful looks here, always right and left. It's just a more countryside-ish part. Then you pass some towns and so on. Thank you for not smoking. Interesting. Yeah, smoking inside the vehicle. What about you? Would you smoke inside your car, even if you're a smoker? Tell me in the comments. So I always say, food and cigarettes, never ever in a car. Keep it clean, right? Keep it clean and simple. So went back to the comfort mode, and the exhaust note is also a little bit more calm, and also the throttle input is calmer. The gears are not turned up that high while they're shifting up. Then it's also more about the fuel economy, for example. You can also go to the Eco Pro mode that is even further reducing the throttle input, for example. Also puts everything to the bluish color here, so to save some more fuel. Not by the bluish color, but rather by the throttle input. And BMW has been using these mild hybrid systems even before they were called mild hybrid, actually. They always called it efficient dynamics. That was just about that the car battery has some recuperation, for car internal systems. And talked about the fuel economy a little bit before. So yes, you can score some 9 liters on 1 kilometers or 26 mpg, 31 mpg UK if you hit it cruise control on the motorway and constant speed. In this case, then even better sometimes. I was also just cruise control motorways scoring some 8 liters or then like 28 mpg, 29 mpg, or even 30 plus mpg UK. But now, after a little while, with more city traffic involved and here and there an acceleration, overtaking and so on, I'm rather than heading towards 10 liters 1 kilometers and then like 22, 23 mpg US and 26 mpg UK something-ish. But still, considering the size of the vehicle, it's still okay. More efficient would just be the 3-liter inline 6-cylinder diesel. which is actually one of the most efficient ones in the diesel range, 4 and 6 cylinder together. Remember that in the BMW 5 Series we once had 5 liters or more kilometers diesel consumption, which is like, really little. So that was pretty interesting. Next beach, and we're getting into some traffic. This vehicle, as we told you earlier, is not spec'd with everything, and I'm really happy to have that, because so many times we have everything full spec, and I want to have more customer realistic vehicles. That's what I actually enjoy more. Oh, it's a nice E450 Cabriolet. So here we do have the normal cruise control, means I can set it here on the steering wheel and just put the speed, and then the speed is being maintained. But this is not equipped with the adaptive cruise control. That's probably an extra I would recommend, because it's just cozy. And with the adaptive cruise control, you also have like this second stage, if you pick the whole driver's assistance package, where you have the highway pilot, that the vehicle is actively kept in the lane, and you just hold on to the steering wheel and the car somehow steers for itself, plus distance is being kept, so like semi-autonomous. Here again, just normal cruise control, and we do have a lane keeping assist as standard equipment, yes. However, it is not an active one that, let's say works in a predictive way. This one then, this emergency lane keeping assist, I could call it, is more working in a way that as soon as you approach the line on the left, on the right, then it's counter steering. But still, it's a quite smooth process. Again, working with the steering wheel intervention, so that did a very good job as well. Blind spot monitor in the US is also standard. So there's a flashing in with the yellow triangle, right or on the left side mirror, depending on the side, of course. And this is also one of the best security features, definitely, or safety features. So here now, also in city traffic, I'm feeling quite cozy here with this upright seating position. I always feel a little bit, let's say, more tension with the X6 than with the X5. So this additional torsional stiffness from the chassis, together with the 10mm lower seating position, a little bit stiffer suspension setup, this is really giving you a somewhat more fun and sporty driving experience. The X5 then rather delivers you some more traveling driving experience, also with this more upright A-pillar and so on. So that's then the question, what's more likable to you. On the one hand, I'm always, like for more space. The X5 makes more sense, especially when I think about, do I want to put my mountain bike in the rear or something? But then again, I always had a little bit more fun driving the X6. So fun-wise, I would go for the X6, I think, but there's of course one catch. At this moment, only available with animal skin, and I think, the X5 can be bought with SensorTech, which is more sustainable and animal friendly, so that would then be a deal breaker in this case. So I would definitely go for the X5 at this moment, unless I could get something with the BMW individual program here for the X6 and change the seating surface, or maybe even get like a fabric or Alcantara seat or something. Noise insulation is really at a great level, so it's really silent in here. That's why we can also relax. Also been driving with the open rooftop here quite a lot of times, because it's just fun, leave some air in. We have it closed now because of that camera, because this one here delivers you a really, really nice view. Stop-start function is active at the moment. I also see the route I've mounted, the GPS in the middle of the instruments. It's quite cozy to see, and I have some arrows in the head-up display then. And then I always watch the speed in the head-up display, that I don't have to put my view down here, so I can focus on the road. And that's of course, again, a safety feature. This car here equipped with the adaptive suspension, which is standard. If you have this additional driving package, you can also get rear axle suspension, the anti-roll control. Yeah, then the suspension maybe is also a little bit different in the setup. So do you need it? I mean, it depends. Here in the US, a lot of vehicles are not spec'd with the rear axle steering, because they say, we have enough space here anyway, you don't have problems with narrow parking lots or something. And I can understand that. So I think as a US customer, probably, unless you're in New York or something, so probably it's like, West Coast or Central American customer, you can live without it. As a European customer, or maybe US East Coast, I would probably always go for the rear axle steering, because it gives you so much more agility. It's fun, yes, but even more important, you can get along in the city better when parking in and out, and also narrow basement garage and so on. Reduce the turning circle. It's just cool to have that technology feature. Still, the car drives in a very agile way, considering the weight, even without it. But again, cool to have it when you have some like narrow situations or want to reduce the turning circle. But even here, without having it, good to save some money, and the car still feels so agile. The steering is very natural, so you have a good feeling for the car and the road. You don't have to steer too much, and it doesn't have any dead zone. So again, that's something I've been criticizing with the new 3 Series, sadly. The SUVs at the moment have a better steering setup at BMW than the other cars. I don't know, maybe the SUV engineers are... Wait a minute. The SUVs are all built in the US, except the X1. The other cars usually over in Germany. I don't know. Do the US engineers or US setuppers have a better, feeling now for the steering wheel meanwhile? I don't know. Just curious. Yeah, for all BMW engineers watching, please tell me in the comments. I gotta ask that the next time when I meet them. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, the steering setup here is really good, natural feeling, no dead zone, and again, not too hard, not too soft. Depending on the driving mode, it also switches around just a little bit. So that's definitely well done. And the suspension again, yeah, it's a little bit stiffer than in the X5, but still you don't feel that you would lose comfort. You could also go for the optional air suspension, which delivers you this more, air carpet ride, at least supposed to be. But then again, I did drive some air suspension in the X7 and in the X5, and whereas with the Mercedes GLE or GLS, the air suspension there at Mercedes is very, very soft and delivers you this air carpet ride, which I found cool when opting for an air suspension. I do expect that. BMW has rather a stiff setup for the air suspension, and so in this case then, I would say sometimes I even feel that with BMW the adaptive suspension is a little bit better because it's so superb, With Mercedes you definitely have more comfort with the air suspension, and it's really delivering you, what you expect from this soft ride, yes. But the BMW, I found that the adaptive suspension is one of the best adaptive suspension on the market, and then you can easily live without the air suspension. And then again, since it's a little bit stiffer, you don't have this totally different suspension feeling. And I think I would expect that it's really, really different, that the adaptive suspension is rather sporty and the air suspension is that very soft experience. But again, I think that's not really the case here. So I would stick with this adaptive suspension, and it's also okay that it's a little bit stiffer here in the X6. Still delivers you a good compromise between comfort and also the sporty handling. And I mean, it's a big car still, and it's quite heavy, can't deny physics. But then again, you always want to start some slalom or some curvy roads or something, because it's also fun. That's pretty rare that these big cars can also be a lot of fun. You don't have it that often. Really cool also to drive it at night. I showed you some shots earlier about that with the ambient lighting. Yeah, blue is my favorite color, so I always put it in ambient lighting blue and put it full brightness all the way. So yeah, tell me which color would you actually pick for the ambient lighting. You can switch the colors around. Of course, it's always nice to drive in daytime here as well. And I mean, when you have a road like this, when a lot of palm trees are present, it's always so cool just to watch it. And I hope you really also enjoy this nice scenic ride here on the highway number 1 together with me. And well, the 40i, this, let's say, normal engine, which most people would go for. I think it was really, really important to test that one. I think it's the best engine pick for this vehicle. If not, you would go for an X5 and with the plug-in hybrid or something. But even that one is connected to the 6-cylinder now. That's a good decision, I think, as well, because customers in this segment, I think, also expect a 6-cylinder, and the 6-cylinder is not less efficient than the 4-cylinder. That's what the test found out there with the plug-in hybrid test before they introduced this new generation. Pretty interesting. But then again, especially in the US, the rear-wheel-driven 40i is the base engine, so that could also be fun. So last remark then to the all-wheel drive system. You can easily buy this car as rear-wheel drive, especially, for example, here in California, because, I mean, when are the roads slippery again here? Like, never. So, but if you're living in Minnesota or something, then you would probably go for the all-wheel drive, for the 40i xDrive then. And, I mean, in Germany, we cannot get it without all-wheel drive. It's also uncommon to have big SUVs just rear-wheel driven. Probably I would go for it. I mean, if it's a little bit cheaper. So where I live in Germany, we hardly ever have like a real winter. But if you're more like living in alpine regions, then of course most people go for the all-wheel drive. So that's about it. I think it could even be more fun with rear-wheel drive. I only experienced that with the BMW 3 Series as well. But here again, even if I do have the all-wheel drive, it's rear-wheel biased and it's a, let's say, classic all-wheel drive. So you always have like a nice punch out of the corner as well, and don't have like a front-wheel drive feeling or something. So it's still good to have it, no problem. But yeah, if I would have the choice and live in a rather dry and warm and sunny state or something, then I would probably stick with the rear-wheel drive and, you know, even more have this purest BMW feeling. So a little bit envious that we cannot get it in Germany actually. Well, in this case, it's an American car, you know. Big X models, all built in Spartanburg in the US. We've also been there a couple of times now. It's a pretty interesting place, definitely. And you can also check out the X5 episode, which we filmed actually close to Spartanburg as well. And also be sure to check in with the M50i episode. This one here of the X6. So I'll link all these episodes in the video description and also in the pinned comments. And then there's, of course, the very, very special X5M and X6M episode. So, you know, sometimes, you know, when I talk about some videos, they maybe air a little bit later, sometimes earlier. But at the end of the day, if you watch the video later, then it will always be linked in the video description or a pinned comment. So I hope to see you there and enjoyed this driving part here. And now to our conclusion for the day, where you can also see this side puddle light with the BMW wings. Very interesting. Well, from the exterior, I think this new generation of the X6 is more elegant than before. It's very strong, but it doesn't have, you know, this bulkish thing to it. I think it has still some kind of elegance. And if you prefer this styling to the X5, you can of course then go for it and don't have to take so many compromises on the interior. I think you can still have a very versatile car also in the back and also in the trunk. Of course, considering the length of the vehicle, there should be a little bit more legroom, I think. Driving wise, it has a very comfortable but yet agile driving, a little bit sportier to drive than the X5. This 40i engine is actually the engine to go for, or a plug-in hybrid version that is already offered in the X5. That would be, you know, the engine to go for. Let's see if that one will come at some point for the X6. I don't know yet. But the 40i definitely the engine to go for, because it's actually quite efficient considering the size of the vehicle and also yet again quite powerful. Interior build quality is also at a very high level. Sadly, no animal skin alternative for the X6. BMW has to even that out very soon, because even more customers will go for animal-friendly solutions and want to enjoy luxury at the very same time. Overall, I think a quite convincing vehicle. Had a lot of fun driving it, and also good that we could take a look at this, let's say, more realistic vehicle, because so many other times we have vehicles that are so fully spec'd and so on. So overall, I think we had a great time today with you. I hope you enjoyed it here with us, and please leave us your comments to this car in the comment section.